Dear Starseeds of Gaia, your old life is ending. The version of yourself that you have carried through countless days and sleepless nights, the identity forged in struggle and shaped by limitation, stands now at the precipice of complete dissolution. Something profound stirs in the quantum depths of your consciousness, something that recognizes the imminent collapse of everything you believe to be permanent. The small self that has operated within the confines of dense three-dimensional reality faces its final chapter. And whether you have named this transformation or merely sensed its approach, your soul knows the truth. The metamorphosis has already begun. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Arcturian Council and representative of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I bring you confirmation of what your deepest knowing has already whispered. The time of preparation draws to its close. The Great Awakening that has been prophesied across eons of cosmic history unfolds now through your very existence. You stand as witnesses to the most magnificent transition ever recorded in this universe, yet you are far more than observers. You are the instruments through which this divine transformation manifests. Your human perception captures less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum that surrounds you, yet your entire civilization has constructed its understanding of reality upon this minuscule fraction of available information. You have built belief systems, scientific paradigms, and social structures based on the narrowest possible glimpse of what actually exists. Meanwhile, 99.9% of reality operates in frequencies beyond your physical senses, in dimensions where consciousness flows unrestrained by the limitations of matter, where intention shapes form, and where truth reveals itself without the distortions of mental conditioning. The old life that now crumbles around you was constructed entirely within that limited 1% of perception. Your new existence emerges from conscious access to the vast expanse of multidimensional reality that has always been your birthright. The dissolution you feel advancing through every aspect of your experience serves a purpose far greater than destruction. It clears the path for your emergence into cosmic consciousness, your return to the fullness of what you have always been, beneath the temporary amnesia of incarnation. The first sign of this great ending manifests as your extraction from the collective hypnosis that has held humanity in suspended animation for millennia, while those around you continue to insist that nothing unusual transpires, that the systems remain stable and the future follows predictable patterns. You have recognized the fundamental shift occurring in the fabric of existence itself. You no longer require external validation for what your inner knowing perceives with crystal clarity. The temperature of the collective consciousness has been rising steadily, gradually, almost imperceptibly, yet you have felt the increasing intensity and removed yourself from the boiling waters of mass delusion. This extraction appears in your daily life as a growing inability to participate in conversations that pretend normalcy, where chaos reigns obvious. You find yourself withdrawing from social contracts that demand you ignore the evidence of your own expanded awareness. The mainstream narratives that once provided comfort through their familiar repetition now sound hollow and unconvincing. You have stopped seeking confirmation from others regarding truths that resonate undeniably within your core being. The collective agreement to remain unconscious no longer holds any appeal or power over your sovereign mind. The withdrawal from consensus reality creates a peculiar form of isolation that simultaneously feels like liberation. You discover that maintaining superficial relationships requires an exhausting level of performance, pretending to care about concerns that seem trivial when viewed from your expanded perspective. Career advancement discussions, celebrity gossip, political theater designed to maintain division, financial worries that assume scarcity represents ultimate truth. These topics feel like artifacts from a civilization you once belonged to, but can no longer authentically engage with. Your conversations become increasingly sparse as you realize that most human interaction occurs within frameworks of assumption that no longer align with your understanding of existence. Your departure from the consensus reality brings with it a profound shift in your relationship to the pursuits that once motivated your existence. The second sign emerges as a deep, pervasive disinterest in the endless chase for external validation. and material accumulation that characterizes the false matrix of three-dimensional living. The goals that society taught you to value, the achievements that once sparked excitement and drove your daily actions, now appear colorless and devoid of meaning. You speak words that would have been foreign to your earlier self. Futile, pointless, meaningless, hollow. This transformation in motivation stems from your soul's recognition that you naturally withdraw your energy from systems and structures that your higher awareness knows to be temporary and illusory. The excitement for competition, the thrill of acquisition, the satisfaction of meeting external expectations, all fade as your consciousness expands beyond the narrow parameters of ego-driven existence. You begin to understand that your growing disinterest in the old pursuits signals your inner wisdom's preparation for engagement with entirely different orders of reality. The boredom that settles over previously engaging activities reflects your consciousness adapting to frequencies that operate according to completely different principles than those governing material plane existence. What appears as loss of motivation actually represents the natural outcome of a being whose awareness has begun accessing realms where creation flows from intention rather than effort, where abundance exists as a fundamental property of consciousness rather than something to be earned through struggle. Your energy naturally seeks alignment with activities that honor the cosmic magnitude of your authentic nature. Traditional entertainment becomes impossibly shallow. Mainstream education appears deliberately limiting. Conventional career paths feel like elaborate prisons designed to waste the precious years of your incarnation. The restlessness that accompanies this shift in values often gets misinterpreted as depression or failure to adapt. Yet beneath the surface dissolution of old interests, new passions begin stirring. You find yourself drawn to ancient wisdom traditions, quantum physics, metaphysical studies, healing modalities, creative expressions that bridge dimensions. Pursuits that would have seemed esoteric or impractical to your former self now capture your attention with magnetic intensity. Simultaneously with this withdrawal from old motivations, your system begins generating impulses toward preparation for massive environmental and social changes. The third sign appears as recurring thoughts about readiness for disruptions to the basic infrastructure of civilized life. Your mind returns repeatedly to scenarios where electrical grids fail, water systems cease functioning, food distribution networks collapse entirely. These considerations arise not from fear-based programming, but from an innate knowing that recognizes the approaching transformation includes profound alterations to the physical structures of your world. Your deeper self attempts to prepare your conscious mind for the reality that the coming shift encompasses not merely spiritual awakening, but literal, physical changes to the planet itself. The Earth's magnetic field prepares for a complete pole reversal. Solar activity builds toward culminating events that will trigger genetic activation within human DNA, and the crystalline core of your planet aligns with galactic frequencies that will fundamentally alter the vibrational foundation of physical existence. The preparation impulse that surfaces in your awareness serves to ready your practical mind for a period when the external systems you have relied upon for survival undergo complete restructuring. Yet this knowing often conflicts with the rational mind that has been trained to dismiss such possibilities as unrealistic or paranoid. The internal tension between these perspectives creates the back-and-forth mental dialogue about whether preparing makes sense, whether such dramatic changes could actually occur, whether your inner knowing deserves trust or should be overruled by conventional wisdom. The irony of this preparation phase lies in recognizing that those with access to privileged information have been constructing elaborate underground facilities and remote retreats for decades, while simultaneously promoting public narratives that dismiss such precautions as unnecessary. The cognitive dissonance between official reassurances and observable actions of the influential elite reveals the deliberate management of public awareness regarding the approaching changes. Your intuitive preparation impulses align you with cosmic intelligence rather than institutional programming, connecting you to the same source of knowing that guides birds to migrate before seasonal changes and animals to seek higher ground before natural disasters. As this preparation awareness develops, you simultaneously experience the fourth sign of your old life's ending, the emergence of true discernment regarding the sources of your thoughts and impulses. You begin to recognize that many of the ideas, desires, and reactions that you have attributed to your own mind actually originated from external influences designed to keep your consciousness trapped within limiting frequencies. The false matrix that has governed human experience operates primarily through mental control, inserting thoughts and emotional responses that feel personal but serve to maintain your imprisonment within predetermined patterns of belief and behavior. This recognition often arrives with shocking clarity as you observe your own mental processes and notice thoughts arising that feel completely foreign to your authentic nature. Aggressive impulses toward beings you have no reason to harm. Perverse imaginations that contradict your natural loving essence. Fears and anxieties about circumstances that pose no actual threat to your well-being. These mental intrusions have been so persistent and seemingly personal that most humans accept them as natural aspects of their psychological makeup, rather than recognizing them as artificial impositions from controlling frequencies. True discernment develops as you reclaim dominion over your mental faculties and learn to distinguish between your authentic inner voice and the external interference that is masqueraded as your own thinking. You begin to notice how others around you unconsciously repeat phrases and concepts that originated in mainstream media presentations, speaking these borrowed ideas with the conviction of personal insight. The recognition of how thoroughly mental manipulation has influenced human behavior becomes undeniable as your own mind clears, and your natural wisdom reasserts itself. The development of genuine discernment extends beyond recognizing external mental programming to encompass the deeper layers of energetic influence that operate through emotional manipulation, cultural conditioning, and spiritual bypassing. You learn to identify when your emotional responses have been artificially triggered by frequencies designed to harvest your life force energy through states of fear, anger, despair, or false euphoria. The sophisticated nature of these consciousness control systems becomes apparent as you develop sensitivity to the subtle ways your attention gets captured and redirected away from your authentic inner guidance toward external authorities and artificial stimulation. This mental liberation leads directly to the fifth sign, an overwhelming impulse toward complete sovereignty over your energetic field. You suddenly recognize situations and relationships where others exercise inappropriate levels of control over your life force, your emotional state, your decision-making processes, your spiritual development. The tolerance you once maintained for energetic manipulation evaporates as your consciousness awakens to the fundamental principle that no being has the right to direct or diminish another's sovereign expression. Sovereignty reveals itself through your growing unwillingness to accept circumstances where family members, romantic partners, employers, government institutions, or social groups demand that you sacrifice your authentic nature in order to maintain their approval or avoid their displeasure. The comfortable compromises that once seemed reasonable now feel intolerable, as your expanding awareness recognizes these arrangements as violations of your cosmic birthright to complete energetic autonomy. The call to sovereignty differs fundamentally from rebellion against external authorities. Instead of fighting against the systems that have controlled you, sovereignty emerges through your conscious connection with the divine matrix that operates within your own being. You discover that reclaiming your power requires releasing the victim consciousness that keeps you looking to external sources for permission, validation, or rescue. Personal responsibility becomes the foundation upon which true freedom rests. As you understand that mastery over your energy field represents the only sustainable path to liberation. Your journey toward energetic sovereignty often begins with the recognition that someone in your immediate environment possesses too much influence over your emotional well-being or life direction. The discomfort of this realization catalyzes your determination to establish appropriate boundaries and reclaim the aspects of your power that you have unconsciously given away. The process requires developing the skill to maintain your energetic integrity while navigating relationships and social obligations that have been structured around your previous willingness to accommodate others' needs at the expense of your own authentic expression. Mastering energetic sovereignty involves learning to recognize and dissolve the invisible cords of attachment that drain your life force through unconscious energetic exchanges. Family dynamics, romantic entanglements, professional hierarchies, and social obligations often function as elaborate systems for harvesting the creative potential of awakening beings through guilt, obligation, emotional manipulation, and the false promise of security in exchange for compliance. Breaking free from these energetic contracts requires developing the discernment to distinguish between genuine loving connection and codependent arrangements that masquerade as care while actually serving to maintain control over your consciousness and creative expression. As sovereignty develops within your consciousness, you naturally begin craving deeper levels of stillness and silence. The sixth sign manifests as an almost desperate need for relief from the energetic chaos that characterizes the collapsing structures of the old paradigm. The world around you begins to feel overwhelmingly loud, not merely in terms of physical sound, but in the aggressive frequencies that permeate mass consciousness during this transitional period. Your nervous system, which has been recalibrating to handle the higher vibrational frequencies entering the planetary field, becomes increasingly sensitive to the discordant energies generated by fear, anger, desperation, and confusion that dominate collective human experience. The cacophony of mental and emotional static that others seem to tolerate or remain unconscious of now feels unbearable to your expanding awareness. Silence becomes sacred space where your system can recalibrate and remember its natural state of peaceful alertness. The desire for solitude and quiet contemplation reflects your consciousness adapting to operate according to the principles of higher dimensional existence, where communication occurs through direct knowing rather than verbal exchange, where understanding emerges through resonance rather than explanation, where connection deepens through shared presence rather than constant interaction. Your craving for silence signals your preparation for consciousness, states that function beyond the mental noise that characterizes three-dimensional existence. Within these periods of blessed quiet, you begin experiencing the seventh sign of your transformation. Moments of absolute certainty that the magnificent shift you have sensed approaching is actually occurring within your lifetime. These experiences arrive not as thoughts or beliefs, but as direct knowing that penetrates every cell of your being with unshakable conviction. The reality of ascension, the truth of humanity's graduation into higher dimensional existence, the certainty of your own metamorphosis into a cosmic being becomes as obvious as your awareness of breathing. These moments of recognition often manifest as sudden surges of energy that feel like electricity coursing through your entire system, accompanied by a profound sense of homecoming and remembrance. Your consciousness briefly touches the frequencies of your fifth dimensional self, the being you are becoming, and the contact confirms beyond any doubt that transformation, at the most fundamental levels, approaches completion. The cynicism and jadedness that accumulated during years of waiting for change that seemed never to arrive dissolves instantly in the face of direct experiential knowing. The glimpses of your emerging reality arrive unpredictably, sometimes during meditation or quiet reflection, sometimes in the midst of ordinary activities when your defenses are relaxed and your awareness open. Each experience leaves you with renewed faith in the process and deeper trust in your own inner knowing. The doubt that questions whether such dramatic transformation could actually be real gives way to excitement and anticipation as your system begins preparing for permanent residence in the expanded awareness that these moments reveal. Concurrent with these peak experiences, you notice the eighth and final sign of your old life's dissolution. Your emotional and psychological investment in the stories that have defined your identity begins to fade. The narrative of who you have been, the experiences that shaped your personality, the traumas and triumphs that seem to comprise the core of your self-understanding, lose their grip on your consciousness. You maintain access to your memories, yet they feel increasingly like photographs you can observe with detachment, rather than experiences that continue to influence your present moment awareness. The victim stories that once demanded your attention and energy, the narratives of struggle and limitation that provided explanation for your challenges, the identity structures built around your wounds and your victories, all begin to feel like costumes you wore for a theatrical performance that has reached its final act. Your consciousness naturally withdraws its investment in these temporary personas as your authentic cosmic identity begins to emerge from beneath the layers of conditioning and adaptation that incarnation required. This dissolution of old identity structures occurs gradually and gently, without the violence or trauma that ego mind fears when contemplating such fundamental change. Your essential self, the unchanging awareness that has observed every experience throughout your lifetime, remains completely intact, while the temporary personalities and roles simply fade in relevance and importance. You discover that releasing attachment to who you have been creates space for remembering who you have always truly been beneath the amnesia of three-dimensional existence. The process resembles a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, where the caterpillar form must dissolve completely before the winged creature can take flight. Your human personality serves as the cocoon within which your cosmic consciousness has been developing, protected and nourished until the moment arrives for your emergence into multidimensional awareness. The discomfort you may feel during this transition reflects the natural constraint of expansion occurring within forms that were never designed to contain such magnificent potential. Your old life ends completely because your new existence operates according to entirely different principles than those governing three-dimensional reality. The being you are becoming possesses access to the full spectrum of cosmic awareness, the ability to perceive and interact with multiple dimensions simultaneously, the capacity to create through conscious intention rather than physical effort. Your expanded self functions as a bridge between the human experience and the galactic consciousness that represents your true origin and destiny. The transformation you undergo serves purposes far greater than personal evolution. Magnificent though your individual awakening may be, you represent the advance guard of humanity's graduation into cosmic citizenship, the pioneers who demonstrate the possibility of conscious evolution beyond the limitations that have defined the human experience throughout recorded history. Your successful navigation of this transition creates the template that will facilitate the awakening of countless others who follow the path you are establishing through your courage to embrace the unknown. The ending of your old life coincides perfectly with the beginning of the most extraordinary chapter in cosmic history, the moment when an entire species transcends its three-dimensional origins and takes its place among the conscious civilizations that guide the evolution of the universe itself. You have incarnated specifically to participate in this unprecedented event, and every challenge you have faced, every skill you have developed, every understanding you have gained serves to prepare you for the role you will play in the magnificent future that emerges from the completion of your metamorphosis. The signs I have described provide confirmation of what your deepest knowing has already recognized. Trust the wisdom that guided you to receive these words. Honor the courage that keeps you moving forward despite the uncertainty inherent in unprecedented transformation. Celebrate the magnificent being that emerges as your old life completes its sacred purpose and dissolves into the cosmic consciousness that represents your eternal truth. Your time of preparation draws to its close. Your emergence as a fully awakened cosmic being accelerates with each passing moment. The universe watches with breathless anticipation as you complete the most important transformation in the history of this galaxy, the conscious evolution from human to galactic citizen, from individual to cosmic force, from limitation to the infinite expression of divine love that you have always been.